You're listening to Bowl Game Radio with Bruce Binkowski and Mark Neville on San Diego's sports leader, the mighty 1090.
And welcome back to Bowl Game Radio on the mighty 1090 and the San Diego Bowl Game Media Network. I'm Mark Neville. And a reminder that Bowl Game Radio is brought to you in part by National University. Accommodate your busy schedule, your life, your university, National University. And MJE Marketing, creative, connected, and always curious. Visit mjemarketing.com.
And I'm Bruce Binkowski, and we're here every Wednesday night until December the 18th, talking bowl games every Wednesday from 6 until 7. And what bowl games are we talking about? Of course, the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl, which is Thursday, December the 26th. A game will feature a top team from the Mountain West Conference against somebody. We're going to talk to Ted Tollner about who that somebody might be coming up in just a minute. And by the way, it is a great family bargain for the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl. Bring the family. The UT San Diego Family 4-pack. 4 plaza-level tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, and a game program for just $170. That is a great, great deal. And by the way, $1 from each ticket sold goes to Make-A-Wish San Diego. So to order your tickets, go to poinsettiabowl.com or call 619-285-5061, the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl on Thursday, December the 26th.
And 4 nights later, Monday, December 30th, it's the National University Holiday Bowl. Kicks off at 7:15 p.m. Features teams from the Big 12 and Pac-12. And again, we're going to find out from Coach Tollner who's going to be coming to that game in just a few minutes here. But the game also features pregame and halftime pageantry you won't want to miss. Tickets are available. For information on the game and the events around it, visit holidaybowl.com.
And you're invited to call in and join us if you'd like. 858-457-1090 or 877, that's toll free. 877-792-1090. And I've been wanting to say it from Baja to the Canadian Rockies. You can hear us tonight here on the Mighty 1090.
All right, so this is one of my favorite segments that we're going to be doing every week, and we get a visit from Coach Ted Tollner, and we go inside the team selection room for San Diego's 2 bowl games. And thanks, Coach, for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a lot of fun to be part of it.
So let's start with the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl.
All right, let's start with the toughie.
We get the Mountain West.
Right.
We get Army.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
So let's talk about Army.
Well, the deal with Army, just so our listeners understand, is that our contract with Army is if they win 6 games, get bowl eligible, they come to the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl to play a Mountain West Conference team. Their record is currently 3-5. Does not look good.
But it is possible.
It is mathematically possible. Now, Army has to win their next 3 games. They have Air Force this weekend, followed by Western Kentucky at home, followed by Hawaii, and then Navy. But after that, if they lose one of those 3, they're out of the picture anyway. So,
that
Coach,
sounds doable to me, Coach.
Yeah, that's our first question, Coach.
Well, it's doable. Now, we talked about this a week ago, and we were counting on the Temple game.
Yeah, we were.
And that one got away from us.
It did.
But it's winnable. Now, of those 3 schools, Western Kentucky has the winning record. Now, they're at a division level, a little bit lower, but it's a quality program. So it's going to take some work for them. I mean, when you're sitting there at 3-5, but they're still motivated knowing that if they win 3, they can go to a bowl game. And that's a big deal. I mean, especially for Army now, hasn't been to one. So it's a big deal. They'll be motivated even though their record doesn't look like it. It could happen, but the odds are against them, I think.
So if we don't get Army, we still have something good in store for San Diego, don't we?
Well, you have the Mid-American Conference, and now somebody out there may say, well, the Mid-American Conference, the MAC, but of the conferences, we were talking about this earlier, you have your Big 5, if you will, the Big 10, the Big 12, the Pac-12, the ACC, the SEC. Then the other 5 conferences are the Mountain West, Conference USA, American Athletic Conference, the Mid-American Conference, and the Sun Belt. Of those other 5 conferences, the Mountain West and the Mid-American Conference are probably the most powerful with the best teams. Coach, would you agree?
There's no question about that. Now, what happens in the MAC is they're always fighting image with the Big 10, just like the Mountain West is always fighting image with the now Pac-12. But the programs are quality programs. I mean, you look at last year in the Mid-American Conference, they had 7 teams go to bowl games. 6 of them had 8 or more wins. Northern Illinois wins 12-2 and goes to the Orange Bowl against Florida State. State. So, I mean, they're playing quality football there, and they're getting recognized because they're getting invited to bowl games. So we're going to come up with somebody very strong, I think. And there's 5 right now in the conference with 5 or more wins, and they've got a couple other ones that are possibilities. So things look good. We're going to have a quality team if we go to the Mid-American.
So if Army is not bowl eligible, we will have a representative in the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl from a Mid-American Conference team. Now, we're talking with Ted Tollner, and this is our team selection segment on Bowl Game Radio. And by the way, if you hear noise and things clanking, we are live from Club Lounge 5 at Qualcomm Stadium. We just had a big Bowl Association committee meeting, and now we're live because we couldn't get to the studio in time, so that's why we're here.
Well, we got a full audience.
We do. We actually have an audience. Yeah,
we love
all
it.
3 of you, which is great. So
we're going to talk about the Mountain West here in just a second, but to me, it seems like the MAC and the Mountain West really mirror each other. And in fact, each of them have one team that's in the BCS top 25 right now. You got Northern Illinois out of the Mid-American Conference, and you got Fresno State out of the Mountain West. It could come down to where it's one of those 2 schools that are going to make it into the BCS and the other one's not.
Very easily. They probably have to run the table. I mean, normally you have to, but you might get in with 1 loss depending on how all the rest of the conferences shake down. But I would guess that if one makes it, that's going to be it. So there might be 1 left there out of those leagues. But the thing is, if one does make it, there's still some quality teams in both conferences that we're going to have a chance of getting. So, I mean, if you don't get an undefeated team, which is hard to get, are you going to get a quality team? And we will.
And out of the MAC, if you were to list who's possibly coming to San Diego on December the 26th, could be Bowling Green, could be Buffalo, could be Ohio, Ball State, Northern Illinois, even throw Toledo in there.
Yeah, those are all 5-2 teams, and a couple 4-3 teams with some good games. I mean, winnable games to put them into that 8-9 win category.
Did you see what Toledo did against Navy?
Yeah.
It was something like 46-45 and in double overtime. So these teams have a lot of offense, very entertaining. And as we talked about, you can bring the family. We have marching bands and fireworks and the family 4-pack. It's a great deal all the way around.
You know, Bruce, you're very animated when you speak.
I know.
You're throwing your hands all over.
I know. I do that all the time.
Just don't hit us.
I know.
So let's jump to the Mountain West now.
Okay.
So like we just said, there's one team in the BCS top 25 right now. You got Fresno State, who's undefeated. Bruce, who do you think the likely teams are at this point out of that conference coming to San Diego for the bowl game?
Well, certainly this year we get the second selection out of the Mountain West. So let's assume for this discussion that Fresno State. Well, let's assume Fresno State goes to the BCS because there's a good possibility they could run the table 12-0. Then Boise State more than likely would go to the Las Vegas Bowl under that scenario. So if you take those 2 out of the loop, then Utah State is a possibility, Wyoming is a possibility. San Diego State could also be in there. Now, we historically do not take back-to-back teams, so San Diego State may or may not be in the picture, and they understand that. And in the new era of college football, conferences and teams don't like to go to the same city year after year. So if you take Fresno State and Boise State out of the equation, I think it's, like I said, Wyoming, Utah State, San Jose State. But if Fresno or Boise are in the picture, we could get one of those 2. Yeah. So there's 4 or 5 or 6 we could still get.
Well, in the Fresno State game, they've got San Diego State this weekend.
They do.
I really feel strong that San Diego State has an excellent opportunity of upsetting them. And I know Fresno is really a good football team. They're a quality team that's going to score a lot of points normally. But I think we're going to see a San Diego State team that we saw against Oregon State that has a chance to win. I really do.
Fresno State, really, if you look at the games that they've played so far, they squeaked by Boise State by 1 point, which is a great game, by the way. They beat Rutgers by 1 point, and they only beat Hawaii by 5. So San Diego State definitely has a chance.
They have a chance. And then after that, I mean, if you get past the Fresno, let's say Fresno State does run the table and go, and Boise goes to Vegas, I mean, then it's really a toss-up. I think the teams you mentioned of Wyoming and UNLV and San Diego State and Nevada and San Jose State, they've all got 3 or 4 wins, and they're going to knock each other off, but one of those teams is going to make a run and be a very attractive bowl team.
You're listening to Bowl Game Radio on the Mighty 1090 every Wednesday night between 6 and 7 o'clock, and you're more than welcome to call in and ask Coach Tollner a question and or ask Mark or myself a question, and of course we won't know the answer, so we'll defer to Ted Tollner. 858-457-1090 or 877-792-1090.
You mentioned Wyoming as being one of the teams that could come to San Diego for our game this year. here. They had a pretty rough loss last week against Colorado State, losing by 30 points. Where do you see Wyoming going from this point forward?
Well, this week they play San Jose. The winner of that game is going to be a legitimate bowl team. The other one is not going to be, is the way I see it right now. And when you get beat bad, I mean, everyone, the ones that I talked to felt like Wyoming would beat Colorado State, and they got thumped. Just like you said, they got thumped. So how they recover from that, we'll find out this weekend. It won't go any longer than that. They're either going to come back and play real well against San Jose and stay in the hunt, or San Jose is going to win the game and Wyoming's going to drift away, is the way I would see it right now.
Now, Coach, in our next segment, we're going to be talking to Jake Trotter from ESPN.com and about the Big 12. He covers the Big 12, so we're going to stay away from the Big 12 regarding the National University Holiday Bowl. But you want to get into the Pac-12 now?
Let's get into the Pac-12. And they, in the first BCS rankings came out on Sunday, and the Pac-12 had 4 teams that are in the top 25. Well, first, Bruce, who do you think the likely teams are at this point?
Well, and let's see if Coach Tollner agrees with me, but I think the likely teams in the National University Holiday Bowl mix Monday, December 30th at Qualcomm Stadium would be Oregon State, Arizona State, Stanford, USC, and maybe 1 or 2 others in there. You guys can throw in a couple of others, but I think those 4 for sure are very likely. I'm leaving Oregon out because I just think Oregon's going to be too good. UCLA is also in the picture, but again, like we said about the other game, it would be a repeat team, and the conferences and the bowls really don't like that.
So this is a big week, Coach, and this week we have Stanford going to Oregon State. We have UCLA going to Oregon. We have Utah going to USC. I think there's going to be a lot that's going to unfold here.
In the next 2 weeks, there's no question about it. The only other team that I would throw in, and they were disappointing last week, is Washington. I mean, Washington, now they have Cal and Colorado coming up before they play UCLA, so they could catch fire again and be a factor right now. But to me, the lead schools are Oregon State and Arizona State. Mm-hmm. Now, you threw Stanford in. I didn't think they would be an option, but, they got beat by Utah, and they've got some tough games coming up. So we're going to come out of this one with a fine team, and one that everybody in the area knows. I mean, because we got so many alums from all these schools that live in this area.
And both of these games mean so much to the local economy, and we talked about that for 36 years. And the Pac-12 has never not sent thousands of fans to a community. And all of these schools that we're talking about are going to bring tons of fans to San Diego.
And Coach, you mentioned Oregon State as being one of a solid team out of the Pac-12. There's no doubt about it. Now, they finished the season with an unbelievably tough schedule. They got Stanford, USC, Arizona State, Washington, and Oregon. Really, arguably the top 5 teams in the conference still left to play. Do you think they can survive that schedule and really finish with a strong record?
Well, I think they can win 3 of them. I think they can win 3 of their last 5, and they're going to. And into that, I'm throwing Washington and SC, and they're going to have to upset either Arizona State, Stanford, or Oregon State, or Oregon. But yeah, I think they can. But I think it'll be a 7-8 win season for them.
And that would be great.
Oh, it would be awesome. We're talking to Ted Tollner, and Ted is going to join us every Wednesday night to talk San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl and National University Holiday Bowl team selection, because frankly, he knows more about football than anybody. I mean, look at his resume. He's been everywhere. It shows me that you
That's good and bad.
It shows me you couldn't keep a job, Coach. College of San Mateo, San Diego State, BYU, Buffalo, Chargers, Rams, back to San Diego State, Detroit, Oakland, and on and on. But all kidding aside.
No, that's coaching, though. Coaching for the most part is, if you stay in it for 48 years like I did, you're going to take jobs by your choice because you had a good year that are just a better opportunity, or you're going to get fired because you didn't do so well and you move on. So you as you look through, I kind of counted them up one time. How many times was it fired, and how many times was I took a job because it was a better opportunity? And it ends up being about a 50-50 split when you're all said and done.
Well, Mark, go ahead.
Well, speaking of coaching, there was an interesting game last week. You had Oregon and Washington State. Mike Leach, head coach at Washington State, threw the ball 89 times. 89 times.
Every down.
Yeah. Now, did he go into that game, you think, with that mentality, or was it something that just happened as the game unfolded?
I think they had to go in. That had to be their game plan. You can't get that distorted and not have that be your plan, because they actually are one of the more improved teams in the Pac-12 right now. I mean, Washington State they have 4 wins.
They're 4-4, right?
Yeah.
I think they're 4-4.
I think they're 4-4. Yeah, they are. I mean, Washington State is 4-4, and they got Arizona State, Arizona, Utah, and Washington left. They could win 3 games. I mean, they could. could. I mean, they probably only win 2 of them, but they could win 3.
And not to put you on the spot, when that coach for Oregon, the defensive coach, criticized Leach for throwing 89 passes, he got fined by the Pac-12, by the way.
Right.
I would think that's a little, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but that's a little out of line because if you're a coach, you're going to run your team the way you think it should be run, and that's your business.
That's how I would feel.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't worry about what I do. You worry about stopping what I do. We'll worry about stopping what you do. But don't tell me what I should do. I mean, I'll run my organization the way I want to run it, and if we don't win enough, I'll get fired.
Yeah.
But don't tell me how to do it.
And by the way,
I will never tell you how to do it. That's for sure.
And every week, Coach, we're going to come up with some off-the-wall questions because we were meeting earlier today, and we were saying, we got to ask him, did Ted Tollner wear headsets? Because, in the old days, no offense, but in the old days, you'd see head coaches.
It was the old days.
It was that didn't wear headsets. Now, they've just got headsets, and
You think of Tom Landry, he never wore headsets.
Lavelle Edwards never wore headsets.
Well, back then, quarterbacks did more of the play calling too. I mean, they'd get a game plan, you'd have a plan, and they were a little. Nowadays, it's coming. Almost all plays are coming from the sideline, with the quarterback having an ability to check the play if he wants to. And Mark and I were talking earlier. He said, "Why do those coaches always got that thing in front of their mouth?"
Yeah.
I said, because we're paranoid. Coaches are paranoid. We think someone's going to read our lips, and the defensive guy in the box is going to say, "Hey, they're going to run this." I just heard him say it to the quarterback.
Are they really going to read your lips, though? Really?
Well,
are they?
I don't know. Everybody's got that there. I mean, no, but we are paranoid. I mean, I can remember.
Did you do that? Did you ever cover your mouth when you were talking?
No, because then we didn't talk directly to the quarterback. That's all come about here lately now. And when I was calling plays in the press box, it was down to somebody else on the sideline who did it. But a lot of times, if they're calling it on the sideline, I think it's legitimate. I mean, they'll go to any depth to try to get an advantage of trying to steal your sign signals or trying to read your lips.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to have more of these questions over the upcoming weeks too.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, we got to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things that we don't know about that coaches do, and I'm sure a lot of fans don't either. So, Ted Tollner.
I look
Coach
forward to
Tollner,
it.
Thanks for joining us once again on Bowl Game Radio. And
when we come back, we're going to be talking with Jim Trotter from ESPN.com. We're going to talk a little bit about the Big 12. You're listening to Bowl Game Radio on the San Diego Bowl Game Media Network and the mighty 1090.